welcome to the Tough Cover podcast with your host, Mark Henry Jr., the sixth ever edition live on the Painted Lines on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Welcome to episode 6. Thanks for joining the second ever morning weekend edition of the Tough Cover podcast. I want you guys to go follow at the Painted Lines on Twitter and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch. And please go follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _ on Twitter and at Tough Cover Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Please leave your picks in the comments. It's the most fun part of the show for me to see what you guys think of my picks and to see what picks you guys have and to go through the trends and to let you guys know my opinion. Yesterday, I had a guy asking me about a South Alabama game. And that's the kind of research that I want people making in the chat, finding the money in the crumbs and the money in the dumpster. Eventually, I want to get a contest soon involving you guys, the viewers, and making picks in the comments. There may be a Discord coming for you guys to join. We will keep you updated on that. But for the meantime, please leave as many picks in the comments as your heart desires. Before we get to my action from last night and yesterday as a whole, let's do a quick fit check. I'm rocking with 2 jerseys behind me for All-Star Sunday night. Firstly, Robert Covington, forever process Sixer, is behind me. Shout out to the only guy in the NBA who comes from a historically black college or university. They'll be celebrating that at the All-Star game tonight. He will, or the All-Star game and the All-Star festivities in general. He will be in the skills challenge tonight, and we will discuss that as a whole as a contest later on in the show. To his right, we have someone who I can't believe I once owned a piece of merch for. It is Kevin Durant, back from the OKC days. Joel Embiid is on Team Durant, so I will be rooting for Team Durant to win, even though Ben Simmons is on Team LeBron for like the 3rd or 4th straight year. I'll get to All-Star Sunday night in total. I'm rocking Brock Lesnar because there's an AEW pay-per-view tonight, and they teased a big surprise in signing a Hall of Famer. So I'm personally hoping it's Brock Lesnar. But again, I won't talk wrestling. That's for another podcast. You can't gamble on that. So now on to grim news. My best bet streak dies at 4. So I am now 4-1 on my best bet, my play of the day, my lock of the night. But not trying to make excuses. But my best bet yesterday was Chattanooga money line against ETSU. And I made that bet at 9 a.m. This show's at 10 a.m. The game was at 2:30. At 2 o'clock, they send out a tweet that 2 of their top 3 scorers, and one of the guys that I mentioned in name, Malachi Smith, their leading scorer and their leading assist man, basically their point guard, who were both out. They announced them both out due to COVID protocol at 2:10, 20 minutes before the game. It's a damn shame, but oh well, we had a great run, and we still had a great day in general. We went 3-1 in college basketball on straight bets and then hit our 3rd straight plus money line parlay to bring our parlay record to 3-0 on the show. However, we did go 0-2 in hockey, which makes too much sense. At this time, I will be retiring from betting regular season hockey. No further questions at this time. 4-3 night, up a unit on the night, still netted a unit. Now let's stop talking about it and let's run through it and review the Saturday slate that I had yesterday. We already talked about Chattanooga, the best bet. They lost by 10. They still put up a fight against ETSU, which just still made me think that if they had a fully healthy team like they've had all year, I think Chattanooga would have advanced and moved on in the SoCon tournament. What bet would have been my best bet had I known about the injuries, over 148.5 in Oklahoma State, West Virginia. Went way over by like 18 points. It hit 165. That was such an easy over, never a doubt. Oklahoma State with a shocker of a win. I didn't end up taking their spread because of Cade Cunningham's injury, but I still did say that I think they could hang around. I stayed away, but because I took the over, I was rooting for a close game, and boy was it was a great game. Did kind of make me a little worried about West Virginia going forward in the tournament, that they weren't able to beat Oklahoma State without Cade Cunningham, but it could have just been a weird game. So I think that, I'll be riding Oklahoma State and West Virginia overs going forward, and the Big 12 as a whole. LSU plus 1.5 at Missouri. This was one I counted out. I thought it was over. They were down like 8 the whole second half until there was like 4 minutes left, and then they started playing defense. They didn't play defense the whole game, and then finally started playing defense at the end against Missouri to clinch a win. They win 86-80. It was a crazy game. I did not feel any confidence the whole game until there was like a minute left that LSU was going to pull off covering +1.5 or pull off the win. So I was happy to see that. And then Purdue winning by 9 against Indiana, winning and covering the spread. Purdue has been my team all year. I can't wait to bet on them in the NCAA tournament and the Big Ten tournament. I'll be checking out their futures after the show. I actually completely forgot to check them last night to see if they've updated, because I said I would do that yesterday on the show. And then the other college basketball pick that I had was Virginia. They ended up winning by 10 over Louisville. That was like a weird game. They were up 5 to 10 points the entire game. So they like never put the game away, but they never really let Louisville in it. I guess that's a Virginia type game. So I thought it was good to see Virginia get back into form. I think in the ACC tourney and in the NCAA tourney, they will be a team to be reckoned with, and they won't be the team that everyone seems to think they were to start this year. It feels like everyone thought Virginia was going to be bad, so they didn't let anyone. No one got too excited when they had that really good stretch, and then when they had the bad stretch, everyone's like, "Oh, see, this is why Virginia stinks." But they still now are 17-3 overall in games that they're favored in. So they're still beating the teams they're supposed to for the most part. They lost by like 1 to Duke. They lost by like 2 to NC State or something. They had some bad losses, but it's 3 losses out of 20 games that they were favored in. To me, I think people are overstating the negatives on Virginia and understating the positives. They still have an excellent defense. They can still shoot the ball. So I think Virginia, as long as they don't go in these ruts where they can't score for a while, I think Virginia is a solid team. I'm not even going to go through the college or the hockey bets too much. I took Columbus against Dallas. They lost 5-0. They were down 3-0 right away. So I was like, oh, not watching that. And then later on, Calgary and Edmonton, I did watch this game. First hockey game I've watched almost all game this year. Calgary was up 1-0. They were up 2-0. And Edmonton slowly chipped away and won 3-2. Connor McDavid scored with 2 or 3 minutes left. Even I know Connor McDavid's good, so I felt stupid betting against Connor McDavid. But, oh well, I'm done. I'm retired from hockey. So sticking with the round ball, sticking with hoops. So now we go back into today's slate. I have 2 college basketball straight bets for you. I have an NBA straight bet for you, and then I have a pick on each of the contests. So that's what we'll be doing. Leave your picks in the comments. I said that at the beginning. If anyone is joining late, I'm going to try to be doing a comment contest with picks to see who's got the winners and see who's got the most picks correctly in a week or a month, whatever that may be. So leave your picks in the comments, and I will go through it while I'm going through now my picks. But now, without any further ado, to the thousands watching on the stream and the millions watching later on YouTube, let's get ready to gamble. I messed that up. I did not hit that let's right, but let's get to the straight bets. My first straight bet of the day is a 2-unit bet at noon. Florida +5.5 at Tennessee. It's actually low-key my favorite game of the day that has huge importance. I don't think a lot of people realize the significance of this game. Everyone's focused on Drake Loyola because it's obviously an auto qualifier, or Michigan State because Michigan State's on the bubble, or whatever game they think is important. The winner of Florida-Tennessee is the 4 seed in the SEC tournament. Now, what does that mean? Whoever loses is either the 5 or the 6 seed. The top 4 seeds get byes in the SEC tourney. So they are playing for a bye here. Both teams are in, but both teams are basically outside the bubble. They're really in the tournament. But this game is huge, not only for SEC seeding, but for NCAA tourney seeding as well. This line opened at 4, Tennessee -4, and has opened to Tennessee -5.5. I think this is a big bounce back spot for the Florida Gators after a loss to Missouri. The teams that I don't like Florida's matchup with generally are the teams that can run, and score. Tennessee's pace plays right into how Florida wants to play, and in low-scoring games, especially when they're close games, you always want to take the points, obviously. So I trust Mike White and what he's been able to do with this undermanned team. I think he's a great coach. I think he's really underrated across the country and in the SEC. And I think they cover and win I think they pull off a win. So I think their money line's plus 200. I haven't sprinkled yet on that, but I still think I'm going to. I think they cover and win here at good old Rocky Top in Tennessee. Florida played Tennessee earlier this year and won 75-49 as an 8.5 point dog. I remember being on that game, and it was one of the easiest bets I've ever made in my life. I think this should be a pick 'em, but again, I haven't bought into Tennessee the entire year. And honestly, hot take here, it wouldn't shock me too much if they don't win another game this year. Because if you lose today, you move to the 6th seed in the SEC tournament. Maybe they could beat one of the bottom feeders of the SEC. But if they match up with a Kentucky or if they match up with someone tough, that could be a tough game even in the first round. And I don't think they beat whoever the 3 seed is in the SEC. They're not beating any of the top 4 seeds in the SEC tournament, in my opinion. But also, again, I haven't bought into Tennessee the entire year. I'm low on Tennessee. I'm low on any Rick Barnes coach team, really. So I'm probably as low as you'll come on the Tennessee Volunteers. I guarantee I'll be picking whoever they play against in the NCAA tournament. Florida is 4-1 against the spread in its last 5 on the road, and 9-3 against the spread in its last 12 on the road. The Volunteers are 1-4-1 against the spread in their last 6 overall, 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 at home, and 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 against opponents with winning percentages over 60%, which Florida qualifies for. I also kind of like that everyone seems to love Tennessee today. Everyone's on Tennessee. The line's moved up. Everyone I'm seeing on Twitter loves Tennessee. The Cappers, Greg Hoops Peterson is a guy I generally like, but he has Tennessee as like a 9.5 point favorite. I just think people are so ridiculously high on this Tennessee team and on Rick Barnes. I have a theory that the sharps in the public have been mostly off either way on the SEC all year, on Florida or on Tennessee. So I'm hoping they are again today. Let's go to the comments here. Teflon John, I believe that's a gator. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm seeing it now. I can see the iPhone gator emoji peeking through there. Yeah, I'm all in on Florida. Let's go. Wait. Chomp up. Chomp on. I don't know the saying, but I'm all in on Florida. Rayco, Chris Rakovitz, Man City, Man United, Derby Day. Is Derby Day is that the name of their rivalry? I kind of like that. It's like the Subway series with the Yankees and the Mets. Over 2.5 goals. Over 2.5 goals. I used to play with Man City in FIFA, Rayco. Let me know your thoughts on that. I know your team absolutely stinks. Arsenal stinks. Shout out Troops and Za. But I don't know much about soccer, but I used to play with Man City because I like their jerseys, so that's who I root for if I had to pick a team. Over 2.5 goals, I'll keep track of that. I'll write that down after the show. Teflon John, great analysis, much better road team. Yeah, let's go. I'm hoping the trends stick up. The only thing that makes me nervous, and I'll talk about this in my next bet a little bit, is that it does feel like it's a little bit more of a bet against Tennessee than it is on Florida. But I still do like Florida, and I like Mike White coach teams a lot. So. And then the next game I'll get to is really a bet against the team I'm betting against, and not a bet on the team I'm betting on, which is always a do not. It's not something you want to do, but sometimes you got to pull the trigger on it. So let's get to my next bet, which happens to be my play of the day, my lock of the night, my best bet. My best bet is 4-1 so far on the year, and now we are going again to the money in the crumbs, money in the dumpster. East Carolina University, ECU, the Pirates, plus 1.5 versus the Cincinnati Bearcats, 3 units, play of the day. I've loved betting against Cincinnati. I've absolutely loved it. It's been so good to me. I've loved it so much that I'm almost going to be sad to see them go, whether it be today, hopefully, or tomorrow. I absolutely slammed Vanderbilt earlier this week as a big dog against Cincy. Sniffed that out, and they won easily. So it's always good when you get an absolutely easy victory you don't have to worry about, and you're always loyal to go back to the well, whether it be for the team or against the team that you bet against. Cincinnati has had 7 players transfer or opt out during the season. They just had one of their best players, Saunders, go down, and he was apparently seen on crutches after the game. They haven't given any update on that, so I don't expect to see Saunders in that game. He's their best player. Cincinnati is 5-14 against the spread, and 2-10 as a favorite against the spread. 3-7 in their last 10, 1-5 in their last 6 as a favorite against the spread. Cincy's defense is bottom 3rd in the country or AAC in every meaningful category. I just don't get this line. I know Greg Hoops Peterson again. I'm going against him on both my college basketball picks. He had Cincinnati as a 5-point favorite, and I think ECU should be favored by like 3 or 4 points. So I'll gladly take the 1.5 points here. ECU shoots it better from 3, but my favorite part about this pick and what makes it my best bet is ECU shooting 7% better from the foul line on the same amount of attempts. ECU also averages more assists on less turnovers, so their ATO ratio is better. The Pirates commit 3 less fouls per game and allow a worse percentage from 3, so they defend the 3 better. And then another big reason I'm so in on this game is how they both played against good competition. ECU beat the class of the AAC in Houston convincingly. That they didn't really even let Houston back in the game. When Cincy played Houston, they lost by 40, and it was an embarrassment. I know it's not always beneficial to compare common opponents, but it is something I like to do in terms of how they show up for what seems like a big game. And this is the AAC tournament, so this is as big as a game as these kids are going to play this year. So I think as big of a game as you're going to play in the regular season is against the prohibitive favorite in your conference, and you don't show up at all and you lose by 40 as opposed to the team you're favored over who beat that team. I don't think Houston's anything special, but they're way better than these teams. And the fact that ECU put it together to show me that they could play that well against Houston makes me feel like they can put it together to play against the team that Houston beat by 40. I don't care if that's dumb logic. It's something I'm going with. I expect Cincy to pack it up and to not show fight and be ready for their season to be over. It's dangerous, again, like I said, with Florida, Tennessee, because it's a bet against Cincy more than it is a bet on ECU, but they still have the advantage in significant trends that I named above that make me feel good, namely the free throw line numbers. So that wraps it up in college basketball for my picks today. I only have 2 picks, one at 12 o'clock, one at 1 o'clock. I'll wrap it up again at the end of the pod, but now let's get to the All-Star game. I'm going to start it off with the All-Star game, and then I'm going to talk about the contests. I actually have a pick on the spread in the All-Star game. I have Team Durant plus 4.5 for 1 unit versus Team LeBron. I placed that last night. It's down to plus 4 now. I'm rooting for Joel to win and to get MVP and have a moment MVP voters stupidly think back on. Brad and KC, good morning. Hey, Brad, I saw that I know you're a big Kansas guy. I think the Big 12 tournament set up great for Kansas. I thought that really, really set up great. I think that they would take Oklahoma in the second round if they win, or the 10 seed. I forget who the 10 seed was, but probably Oklahoma in the second round, who's playing their worst basketball of the year. So I think that's set up perfectly for your team in the Big 12 tournament, Kansas. Sean Bittman said, love the under in Cincy ECU. Let me pull this up and check it out before I get to the All-Star game, really. Let me dive in here for you, Sean. I'm gonna be watching this game close. So under 138.5. Looks like last game went under for Cincy against Vanderbilt. The last 3 games have went under for ECU. Similar totals as well. That's interesting. This is an interesting pick. Let's look at their totals on the year against the. So yeah, this is what I think I actually did look at this now that I'm looking at it earlier, because I've been on ECU unders a lot because they've been pretty profitable. The thing that makes me a bit nervous here is Cincinnati's defense is so bad. You look at the points that they've given up to Memphis, 80. They gave up 71 to Tulane. They gave up 90 to Houston. That kind of makes me nervous. I can't do it. I can't pull the trigger on taking the under, but I wouldn't take the over. If I had to make a pick in it, it would be the under. I'm going to stay with ECU, but 14-5 on the over/under. Cincinnati as well. ECU's 5-11 on the over/under. So it's just a big disparity. It's going to depend if ECU mucks it up and forces Cincinnati to play down to their pace, or if Cincinnati tries to run and fouls a lot and it plays up to their pace. So I'm more than likely staying away from that total. So let's get to what I was just talking about. Team Durant, I have plus 4.5 over Team LeBron for 1 unit because I'm rooting for Joel to win and to win MVP. Also, just a real gambling thing here. I think with the Elam ending and the general malaise of the All-Star game, I'd be shocked if the game wasn't close. In fact, I'm sorry I didn't do this before the show, but let me pull up last year's game and to see what the final score was, because I do remember it being really close down the stretch. Let's pull that up. Yeah, Team LeBron beat Team Giannis by 2 points. It was a great game. I think that the way that this Elam ending sets up and the way I think the NBA wants it to be close. So I think it'll be a close game. I think Team Durant covers a 4.5 point spread. I know KD lost KD and lost Devin Booker. Did a better job drafting, but he still has Kyrie and Joel, who are perfect All-Star game players, and a little All-Star game. I'll get to the MVP discussion in a little bit, but watch out for Jason Tatum, who I could game and wanting to prove himself and go. I had these written down. Plus 950. That's just a homer bet. I think Joel Embiid will cover people. He screwed Andre Iguodala out of a dunk contest and won 2 others. He won 3 dunk contests. People like when little guys can dunk. Anthony Simons is the smallest guy in the contest. I think he looks like he has hops. He looks like he's taken off a trampoline when he jumps in some of these clips I've seen. So I think Anthony Simons is going to be able to do some cool stuff, and even some of the stuff that he does that maybe if he did the same thing as Obi Toppin, I think it'll look a lot more impressive. So I'm going with Anthony Simons as my pick to win the dunk contest, which sounds kind of sad. But then the skills challenge contest, I'll just go through all the names. Chris Paul plus 240, Luka Doncic plus 280, Julius Randle plus 390, Nikola Vucevic plus 500, Domantas Sabonis plus 600, Robert Covington plus 800. So I am taking Robert Covington out of pure respect. It's not my real pick, but if Robert Covington somehow were to win the skills challenge and I didn't financially gain from that, I would feel like a fraud. I would feel like everything I've talked is supporting Robert Covington and having a Covington jersey behind me. I would feel like a fraud. So have to put at least a half a unit down on Covington to win the skills challenge. I do think it could be embarrassing and he could not be able to pass it through the hoop or whatever that may be. But whatever. My actual real pick is actually the second prohibitive underdog, Domantas Sabonis. I think this guy is going to be moving and trying his ass off. This is his first All-Star. He didn't make the All-Star game. Wait, did he make the All-Star game? He did. He ended up making it as a replacement because he got drafted before Gobert. He ended up making the All-Star game, but I think he's going to be there trying to prove something. And it seems like these bigs are try way harder at the skills challenge than the little guys do and the guards do. I can't see Chris Paul actually caring about this. He did it like 15 years ago. Luka Doncic is painfully slow. I can't see Luka winning this. So really it came down. I think Vucevic is a little too slow, and I don't think Covington will win, but I did bet on him. So really, to me, the best bet for it comes down to Julius Randle at plus 400 or Domantas Sabonis at plus 600. Both first-time All-Stars and both guys are going to be out to prove something. I think that both guys are good bets. I'll be riding with Sabonis because it's more of a payout and because I like Sabonis more. I want to root for Sabonis. So I'm going with the boner man, Domantas Sabonis. So I think plus 600 is probably my favorite bet for any of the All-Star game festivities. Getting to the three-point contest, I don't love this. I got to be honest. I'll run down the contestants. Steph Curry plus 115, Zach LaVine plus 410, Donovan Mitchell plus 500, Mike Conley plus 550, Jason Tatum plus 750, Jaylen Brown plus 850. So I'm not betting on a Jazz guy to win it. I'm just not. I hate the Jazz. I'm like LeBron. I didn't grow up playing with the Jazz in video games. So I'm not taking either of the Jazz guys. Jaylen Brown, I don't think he's a good enough shooter. So really it comes down to Steph Curry, Zach LaVine, Jason Tatum. I think Steph Curry's going to win tonight. Feels like he's just on fire from three, and he's never won one before. They're not going to win a title this year. This feels like something he can throw on his mantle. So I think Steph Curry does win. I'm not betting on a plus 115 guy in a three-point contest, though. To have some fun, I'll throw it on Jason Tatum plus 800 is what I got it at. It's at plus 750 now. But I throw it on Tatum. I throw a half unit. So why not have some fun? Plus 810, I actually got it at. So let's run down my card here. Florida plus 5.5 at Tennessee for 2 units. ECU plus 1.5 versus Cincinnati for 3 units. Team Durant plus 4.5 versus Team LeBron for 1 unit. 1 unit on Domantas Sabonis at plus 600 to win the skills challenge. A half unit on Robert Covington at plus 800 to win the skills challenge. A unit on Anthony Simons to win the dunk contest. And last but not least, a half unit on Jason Tatum to win the three-point contest. This could be our first negative day because a lot of it is props and contest-based stuff, but we got to do it. We got to have fun with All-Star Sunday night. It's usually Saturday night. This is usually one of my favorite nights of the year. I love the dunk contest and the three-point contest and the skills challenge. I used to love the higher shooting stars where they'd shoot it from half court. There'd be a WNBA player, a legend, and an NBA guy. I loved it when they tried horse. So I'm as big of a nerd as you'll get for the All-Star festivities, not as much the All-Star game as I am for All-Star Saturday night. But I usually don't even watch the All-Star game, so having the festivities before and during the All-Star game will get me to care about the overall presentation. I'm going to be watching with co-host Pat Moran. I do expect there to be a podcast coming this week or next week. We're previewing the baseball season with Pat Moran, and I'm sure he'll give his golf picks for whatever tournament is coming up. You guys know I'm not a golf guy. But again, my best bet of the day, trying to get to 5-1. ECU for 3 units plus 1.5 versus Cincinnati. You heard my card. If you joined in late, I'll be tweeting out my card in response to this broadcast. Please, everyone, go subscribe to the Painted Lines on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Go follow the Painted Lines at the Painted Lines on Twitter. Follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _ on Twitter, and follow at Tough Cover Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Everyone, thanks for joining so much. Thanks for the people who left picks in the comments, the under, Man City, the over. So everyone who left picks in the comments, everyone who joined, thanks for being a part of the Tough Cover. Click and enjoy